P&O's Iona is a big fat ship with lots of dining options to placate and create big fat guests. Get your snacks and settle in. You're about to see every calorie that might float your way when you set sail on one of the chunkiest monkeys departing the UK. Here, ladies and gentlemen, we go. My first bite on board was a salted caramel chocolate cake thing from Vistas, the atrium coffee shop. I didn't order it, I didn't want it, and I definitely did not enjoy it. And later that evening, when I realised that they had charged me $2.95 for it, well, we were only 10 miles from land, so I'm surprised you didn't hear me. For reasons that I can't even begin to imagine, P&O just cannot do puddings and cakes. Choking one down when it's included is ill-advised, but definitely don't pay extra for one. 0 out of 10. Whew. Okay, deep breath. I'm okay now. Well, PTSD, but I'm seeing a therapist. $2.95. I'd normally start with the buffet, but we can't stack two bad apples together, so let's hit the MDRs. Iona has got 4 main dining rooms. Sort of. Really, they've got 2 tiny ones, Aqua and Opal, and 1 whopper that's split over 2 floors. They pretend it's 2, calling upstairs Pearl and downstairs Coral. All 4, it's 3, serve the same menus, from the same kitchen. The difference is the size and the decor, so try them all and then just stick with the one with the wallpaper that you like the best. There are no shocks or surprises. At breakfast, you've got the usual full English, juices, yogurts, pastries, you know the drill. What I can tell you is that the pink grapefruit juice is tasty, but it ain't pink. And the eggs Benedict are okay. Bought-in muffins, eggs that may or may not be microwaved, and sauce that tastes like it was made from powder and hot water. It arrived quick, it was hot enough, and it tasted fine. At lunchtime, the downstairs Whopper restaurant does the heavy lifting. I mean big, not Burger King. Simple stuff. There's always some kind of soup, a sandwich or a burger option, maybe a pie. Of course, the main event is dinner. There's no early and late sitting on Iona, it's all freedom dining. You either join a queue on the Not app, just turn up, and if you're happy to share, you'll more or less go straight in. Or, if you're a bit antisocial or smelly, they'll give you a Frankie and Benny's buzzer to let you know when there's a table with your name on it. You can also book a table on the Not app, but nobody ever does and nobody ever mentions it. I quite like shared tables, so I generally just turned up and went wherever they put me. Not as good as one set of week-long buddies, but I did still get to see a massive argument between a lovely German dude and his wife and a UKIP couple who disagreed with every word he said, no matter what it was. During a dipping conversation, I threw in, "What about Nigel Farage?" And everybody laughed, understanding that it was a joke, but then they went at it. The food was less memorable on the whole, but if we do the sensible thing and just pretend that P&O puddings don't exist, then there were no real disasters and it was all better than I could have made. This pay extra fishy platter thing was a banger last time I was on Iona, and this time it was fine. But the included food would have been fine too, and that would have saved me a few pounds. The worst stuff was okay. This lunchtime lasagna looked rubbish because it had fallen over, but it tasted great. And this lamb was very, very good. All things considered, the MDRs are somewhere between a 5 and a 6. I suppose closer to a 6 out of 10. Okay, we've got to do it. Let's bash the buffet. These, boys and girls, are hand washing stations. Now that might seem obvious, but in 7 days on board a pretty full ship, I was the only one of the 5,000 plus guests that used them. I'd love to tell you that this was just a bad cruise, that this one attracted the great unwashed and usually they can't refill the soap fast enough. But I don't lie, so I was on Iona at the end of 24 and late 2025, and the scenes then were the same. I'm pretty sure that this paper towel was the same one that was hanging there when I debarked my first trip 2 years ago. The food is edible. I generally avoid ship buffets most of the time anyway, but even more so on the Iona incubator. If you've ever been on an all-inclusive package holiday, this is that type of stuff. There's an okay selection of slightly less than okay quality food. And if you mill around waiting to pounce as soon as a fresh tray drops, grab what you want before the non-hand washers stick their grubby little fingers in, and avoid sitting in earshot of people saying horrific things about Adolf. Like Mick Dundee, you can live on it, but it tastes like ship. 3 out of 10. Whilst we're in the buffet, let's cover the bits that P&O pretend aren't buffet. On celebration night, formal night that most people do dress up for, where you're reminded just how fancy you really are by handing over a voucher for a free glass of something that, for legal reasons, has to be called fizzy bubble-style wine-flavoured drinking fluid. Steer clear of chef's table. I've done it twice, and even I don't hate myself enough to make it a hat trick. A tablecloth doesn't make a buffet feel fancy. Gloopy French onion soup that has the same hot water and powder vibe as a hollandaise at breakfast, a beef Wellington that's as delicious as an actual Wellington, just get yourself a steak bacon at Greg's on the way home, and a typical P&O gelatine pudding, 4 out of 10. Equally, the Beach House is a place to get some buffet quality food in a section of the buffet with the added excitement of paying extra for it. Don't do it. Now, a very pleasant surprise. I booked myself into Sindhu for formal night. Now, I'm not really a fan of Indian food, and I'm definitely not a fan of paying extra on a cruise ship for it. But after spying this incredible spot for a big win if there's ever a shipwide game of hide and seek, which is right under the Sindhu stairs, I decided to give it a try just for a change. The place looks great. It's not overdone, just high street exotic. I pondered the menu whilst instinctively shoveling down the mini poppadoms. I didn't really want them, I didn't really like them, and I ate every last one. It was a bit like when you've got a cut in your mouth and you just can't stop poking it with your tongue. The temptation gets the better of you and your mouth is sore by the end. Like all retirees, I am a bargain hunter, so I spotted that a 3-course deal was cheaper than just buying the starter and main that I wanted. First up, I went for lamb cutlets. I wasn't expecting the breadcrumb or whatever it is that's coating them, but they were really tasty. Spicy, but 42-year-old white man spicy, and I enjoyed them a lot. I was trying to concentrate on them and not make it obvious that I just kept looking at the couple on the next table. They looked like movie stars. Shrek and Fiona. Anyway, at first glance I thought, obviously I'm going to have the Sindhu lobster thermidor. But then I spotted a platter thing with the lobster, the beef and lamb, and all that protein was too tempting to resist. Again, this was all spicy, but it wasn't just hot spicy. It was quite sort of delicately flavoured and really enjoyable. And I would recommend it to anyone who isn't a vegan. Actually, I'd recommend it especially to vegans. But let's not get into all that now. You know how I feel about P&O puddings, so even knowing that 3 courses was cheaper than 2, I still deliberated over it being worth just paying a bit more. This lovely looking Asian cheesecake, wow. It confirmed that I should have sucked up the extra cost and saved myself 400 calories. I choked most of it down, but I shouldn't have. I can't blame them, I'm an adult and I should have known better. So, Sindhu gets a solid 8 out of 10 from me. Imagine how nice it is for people who like Indian food. 24-25, well spent. Do yourself a favour, and when you go to Sindhu, order 3 courses so you still get the saving, and when nobody's looking, just throw the pudding over your shoulder. And on your way out, grab an ice cream from Ripples next door. I wouldn't normally review an ice cream bar, we all know what ice cream is, but I really enjoyed this one. 50 out of 10. Epicurean is P&O having a crack at fancy. They say fine dining. Some guests even say fine dining. It's not fine dining. It's dining that's, fine. Now £7 doesn't sound like a lot, but £42 sounds like a lot more than 35. It was £35 last time, and it's £42 now. And I think that £7 has probably made it a bit more than the experience really deserves. It is decent though. The soup tastes like it's been made out of ingredients instead of boiling water and granules. The lobster is extra cheesy, although it won't fill you up, and neither will 4 chips. 4! The puddings are the best available on the ship, but still pretty dire. The increased charge did make me think about deducting a point, but I deliberated long into the night and decided to keep it as a 7 out of 10. Evening meals only. The afternoon tea here is whack. On your way from Epicurean to that night's show, you will definitely still be hungry. So you might find yourself dropping by Taste 360, the poolside grill, to fill the gap. I had a bean stew thing here and a burger, and it was what you'd expect from a poolside grill. One night, you might decide that instead of dinner then a show, you fancy dinner and a show. Lucky you. The Limelight Club offers exactly that. Who is the performer varies. If you're super lucky, then you might get Chesney Hawkes. I wonder what he sings once he's done that one. Anyway, on my sailing, it was Cassidy Jansen, and she was really good. But there was 23 people in a room set up for 200 or more, and they dragged it out for more than 3 hours. The food is presented brilliantly, although I think nice plates has a lot to do with that, and in the end, it's MDR quality food for an extra £25 or £35. I paid $31.25, and for that, I got a 45-minute show squeezed into 200 minutes, a bruschetta type thing, some mushroom stalks pretending to be more, overcooked beef which even I didn't enjoy, and I'd eat beef that I found in a dustbin, and let's not say the obvious. It was okay. Purely rating the meal, 5 out of 10. Actually, in the atrium, there are 2 speciality restaurants, Keel Cow and the Glass House. The atmosphere in both is pretty rubbish. It's open plan like the food court at the Trafford Centre, and people will walk between the tables to get from one place to another. I started the day in Keel Cow one morning. It's more or less the same full English that you can get in the MDRs, or help yourself to in the buffet after a dozen other people have massaged every sausage. I was a bit disappointed when I asked to sub the fried eggs for scrambled or poached, and they said no. I don't really like fried eggs. I asked if I could swap them for bacon or a sausage. Still no. Now, the sausage actually was the standout. It was dense and firm and meaty and delicious, but a bit cold. The whole meal was a bit cold, and it took ages to arrive. I tell a lie. The tomato was hotter than the sun. I'm pretty sure it was microwaved. It was too hot when I tried it before I ate anything else, and it was too hot when I'd eaten what I could. So I just picked it up and threw it over the railings and hoped for the best. It was dirt cheap and they didn't charge for the coffee. Not a triumph, but certainly not a disaster. 6 out of 10. I had dinner in here too, and I don't often order steak at a restaurant. I mean, even I can cook a steak. But that's KNC's whole thing. I went for a 10-ounce ribeye, and I don't know if I'm just too used to home measures or what, but this doesn't look like a 10-ounce steak to me. It's so thin. It was cooked fine, and the garlic gave what wasn't the best cut of meat in the world a bit of flavour. 5 chips is not enough. The mushroom was a bit chilly, and the tomato, well, that was cooked in the same nuclear reactor microwave as the one I had at breakfast. The onion rings were bought in, freezer to fryer types, they were okay. And the lobster tail was pretty nice. It was light and delicate and not microwaved. 6 out of 10, but a stronger 6 than breakfast. I had a glass of wine with my meal at the Glass House. Not a drop of alcohol for years, then a glass of wine on Ventura 3 months ago, and now this. Anyway, I'll piece together what memory I can. The bulk of the menu is tapas, but they do have a very small range of larger plates too. I went for the trio of beef. Now this place suffers from the same weird differing temperatures on the plate too. This croquette thing was warm, it was shredded or pulled beef inside, and it tasted better than it looks. The other two parts of this trio, well, they seemed to be the same thing. They tasted good, slightly peppery, and the meat was tender. But I couldn't eat them for the first few days. I just had to sit there staring at them because they were so hot. Now they're swimming in gravy and super duper hot. I think they were cooked in a sous vide, which is a fancy industrial boil in the bag machine. Now, a lot of proper restaurants use them, so that's not an issue, but you need to get your timings right. When some of the food is cold, some of the food's warm, and some is way hot, it just takes you out of I'm enjoying this meal and puts you in a WTF is happening kind of mood. Fortunately, I also had a large glass of wine, which killed the flames, dulled my senses, and sent me to sleep. 6 out of 10. The Olive Grove is a bit of an anomaly. It's got the feel of a specialty restaurant, but it is included. But you do have to book, and some dishes are pay extra. It's Mediterranean themed. The indoor bit is nicer than the indoor-outdoor bit. And I went for the Med Trio starter, which is some ham and cheese croquettes, halloumi strips, and calamari. Nothing of note to report, really. I followed that with a lasagna, which was bigger and hotter than the MDR lasagna, but not as good. I always think it's a bit weird when that happens. You'd assume that every lasagna on the ship, especially a ship like this, would be the same. Or, if they're going to have different recipes, put the better one in the themed venue. Anyway, this meal didn't cost me any extra and the surroundings made a change. 7 out of 10. Some people save the best till last. Not me. The Quays is the 3-station food court on deck 8. It's better than the buffet because the opportunity to pick things up, sniff them and put them back is reduced. But in spirit at least, this is very much a sideways move from the buffet. There's a fish and chip shop, which is okay, a noodle bar, which is the typical sugar, salt and fat sauce plopped over some Asian spaghetti, and a burger bar, which used to be pretty good. They have 2 burgers on offer every day, and I asked the chef to make me whichever one was the best. And I had some southern fried chicken. Just look at this thing, and imagine what the rubbish one must have been like. Honestly, I spent a good 90 seconds talking myself out of having a falling down style whammy burger meltdown. The chicken was tasty and it was hot, a little bit spicy, and I did enjoy it. But I could almost feel my arteries hardening with every bite. Still, you've got to die of something. At breakfast time, the chip shop punts out pancakes and waffles, the noodle bar becomes an omelette station, and the burger bar becomes a full English breakfast buffet. I was up late on debark day, so I ended up dropping into the Quays for omelettes. I had 2, and they were good. They're made fresh with whatever fillings you choose by a dude that knows how to make omelettes, instead of the scrambled egg with stuff in that I always end up with. The coffee's fine, the juice is hit or miss depending on who stirred the powder and water together that day, but on this day it was a hit. And there is fruit, yogurt, pastries and puddings around the corner from the shop fronts. It's alright, 6 out of 10. And that, you chunky little monkeys, is that. I feel like I might come across as a bit negative towards the dining options on Iona. I suppose I am really, but you have to remember that you get what you pay for, and with that in mind, it really isn't so bad. There's always something that you can eat, and the horror is limited to hand washing and Vistas charging for cakes. And you will not die. Well, you might, but not because of the food. Dining on Iona 2026 update. Done.